In this episode, we're going to go through every LEGO Harry Potter set made for adults. And some are officially for us, and others, well, they would unofficially catch our eye at the store. I've built a couple of these myself and spent tons of hours going through reviews and fan impressions to fill in the rest. These are just my thoughts after all that research, and I'll be giving each one a bronze, silver, or gold based on the design and how interesting it is, and every now and then it might even earn something even higher. Alright, we're going to kick things off with the standalone sets, and these don't connect to anything and they don't carry the collector's label, but two of the biggest LEGO sets ever made are actually sitting in this group. First up is the big Hogwarts castle. This thing's been around forever, and I'm sure a lot of us have probably seen it at some point over the years. Get this, it's over 6,000 pieces, and for years this was the one everything else in the theme got measured against. It did come out before LEGO for adults was a thing, so there is no 18 plus box yet, so we sort of had to say, yeah, I'm buying this $400 set for my nieces and for my nephews. The scale here is tiny, so your minifigures will look like giants next to it, but that's what we gotta trade to fit the entire castle on one table. Years later, it still holds up, and I mean, there's a reason this thing has been on the shelf for so many years. It's almost like the Millennium Falcon of the Harry Potter sets in a way. There are over 60 stickers in the box, so make sure you set your expectations when it comes to your patience. But this thing is simply iconic, and even though it's a micro scale build, it's gonna get a platinum. The castle and grounds is the middle-sized Hogwarts, and it's the one for you if you can't give up an entire table for it. This one will fit on a normal shelf, and you still get the grounds, you get the lake, and the greenhouses in miniature scale. For the size, it looks great, and I've seen a fair number of fans mention that the bridge and towers will kind of pop loose if you bump into it, so you gotta be careful while you're building it. I do think it's an easy one to recommend, and the more I sat with it, the more it climbed up for me in the rankings. I'm gonna put this one at a gold. But if that castle is still too big for you, this mini Hogwarts castle is the smallest one of them all. It is the newest one, and I actually just put it together. It can definitely fit any desk, and it was a relatively quick build. They even tucked a few hidden rooms inside, including a tiny version of that famous mirror from the first movie. Even though it's technically not for adults, I do think that you can put this next to your keyboard at work and still get a lot of joy out of it, given what it is, and compared to everything else we're ranking today, I think this is going to be a bronze. Okay, here's one that we unfortunately can't pick up anymore, but Diagon Alley was one of those that was a treat to pick up. You get the full shopping street, 4 open-backed big buildings, and the interiors look excellent on this. And if you're not a fan of stickers, you're going to want to cover your ears because for my research, this has over 100. And my gosh, holy smokes. And yeah, the stickers are a lot. There's no way to sugarcoat that. But the design work here is some of the best LEGO has ever done in this theme. It's a shame that it's retired, but I am going to go platinum on it with the stickers and all. And before we leave the street, it does have a micro version with these wizarding shops. It squeezes over a dozen shops into one long row, and everything is printed, so there's not a single sticker in the box to save you from the trauma that you might have had from the last one. Now, this is a micro scale build, so you've got to know what you're signing up for. It's going to be tiny piece after tiny piece for many hours. But the finished row is really colorful, and it's interesting from pretty much every angle, and you can display it in a few different ways. For what it sets out to be, the design is pretty good, and I'm going to give it a silver. Okay, going back a bit, we did have this LEGO art piece a while ago where you could put together a house crest design with thousands of little pegs. To me, this isn't really a LEGO set, it's more of like an arts and crafts kit in a LEGO box. Some people might find that relaxing, and there's no shame in that at all, and the final designs that you can make look great, but the build experience is its own unique thing. Given everything else that we've had so far, unfortunately, I just can't give this one a ranking. Now, this is kind of a weird one, but it's also kind of cool. This talking sorting hat has a sound brick built in, so it talks and animates when you push down on it. And it's going to tell you what house you belong to in Hogwarts. Surprisingly, the face of the hat has a ton of character, and it's the only set today that can start a conversation all by itself. I think it earns a silver for its decent design and unique features, but I can easily see someone ranking this higher or lower, depending on if this is your thing or not. So in the standalone Harry Potter sets, we've already got 2 platinums on the board, which I did not expect this early. And it is nice to see a fair amount of variety in the collection as well. Okay, let's move on to the gigantic modular castle. And over the last couple of years, LEGO has been rebuilding Hogwarts in sections. We're going to start off with the Great Hall, and this is not officially for adults, but I do know that a lot of you collect these. I see them in the comments quite a bit. In this section, we get recognizable elements like the feast tables, the floating candles that are strewn about, and we have slots along the bottom where we're going to have little rooms that you can buy later. They'll actually slide in and out like drawers. This set is packed with character, and the minifigure lineup is maybe one of the best in the entire theme. I think what's holding it back from something even higher is going to be the finish of the design. The rock work is a bit chunky and the roof is pretty plain up close, but if you fix that roof line, we're going to have a different conversation at that point. But as the anchor of the whole system, I do think that this is a gold. This potions class is the first of the little rooms that I was just talking about, and it might be one of the best of them. It's going to slide in under the Great Hall that we just looked at, which is pretty sweet, and I do think that they nailed the look from the movies. The only thing that's going to make me hesitate just a little bit is that the sticker work does look a bit heavy, and some of those have like the delicate curved sort of angle to apply them. Those can definitely test your patience. I do think it's worth it as long as you have a somewhat steady hand, and it's gonna be a silver. Okay, we're gonna rapid fire the other 4 rooms. Dueling Club gets you this small little scene, and that's really all that it is. The Charms class is the floating feather lesson. The desks are alright, but there's really not much else to say about this one either. The Room of Requirement is a cool one, but it was a gift with purchase, which is not cool. You could originally only get it as a bonus for picking up other sets, but I mean, it's charming enough that it should have just been its own regular set that you could buy, so it's gonna lose points for that for an otherwise awesome setup. And the Sorting Hat ceremony gives you that iconic first night moment. It does say that it fits inside of the Great Hall on LEGO's website, even though you might not think so at first glance. We do have a boathouse that connects to the Great Hall at the bottom of the stairs, and it gives the whole display this like bottom edge where the cliffs stop and the lake starts. It's not much, but it's a welcomed addition for sure, and it's going to get a silver in my book. This owlry doesn't connect to the castle, but it's also not supposed to, since it's technically outside of the main castle grounds in the films. So keep that in mind. The set is good for what it is, especially if you like owls. You're going to get a ton of them here. I think it's going to sit safely in the silver range. This one doesn't connect to anything yet, but Flying Lessons brings back the first broom lesson from the first movie, and you get the whole cast of that scene lined up on the lawn. The castle chunk in the back isn't anything too special, but you're buying something with a lot of memories here, and it's a good one, so this one also stays at a silver. And another standalone, you'll set this one next to the castle with this herbology class. The foliage and the setting look fantastic, and those little screaming plant babies are perfect, even though they're from the back corners of my worst nightmares. The build is short and pretty simple, and there really isn't a lot here beyond what we see, so I think this is going to be a silver. Hagrid's hut, on the other hand, I think is going to get a gold. I mean, check out the interior and scenes that we get with this thing. As a freestanding set, I think that it packs a punch and is no doubt worthy of adding to your castle grounds. This is another cool one. There's nothing really to rank here, but there was also a gift with purchase at one point where you could get the Quidditch lesson scene. Great to have if you already own it, but it's something to keep an eye on if you do want the complete package. Okay, back to the main castle. We've also got the main tower, and this is one of the most important ones. This thing it's really tall, and it's going to raise the skyline of the whole display. The interiors aren't too bad either. If the Great Hall is the heart of the system, I think this is more of like the face of it, and I think it's an easy gold. Right next door we have the hospital wing, which is going to connect to the main tower that we just talked about. The interior maybe isn't as impressive as some of the others, but there's definitely a lot going on in the lower level. From what I understand in the research that I did, the connection points might be a bit awkward compared to the other big pieces, but it is a decent addition with a couple of small stumbles, and we're gonna put that at a silver. All right, moving over to the east wing, this is the newest piece, and it's the one that finally finishes the entire outline. It doesn't mean that the whole thing is like 100% complete, but it does come with a boatload of minifigs, including a giant serpent in the basement, and you do get the phoenix. I do think that the design of the exterior is pretty solid, and the interior is full of life and does pack in a ton of scenes. From what I see here, I do think it's going to hover around a gold. Now, I don't really talk about pricing in these ranking videos, but you gotta know that this entire collection runs for at least $1,200 at retail price. That is, if you can find any. About half of them are retired, and I wanted to collect these myself, but I'm gonna unfortunately tap out. You can pair these up with other sets. My research only included the official lists, but just know there's other stuff out there also. And with that, we do have a lot of golds in this modular batch, which I was a little surprised. If you were starting from zero today, I think that the Great Hall and Main Tower are the two that I would grab first, if you can find them. And it's going to be kind of a wild goose chase to find the rest. Unfortunately, a lot of these are retired. But with that said, we are going to move into the official collector's editions for Harry Potter, and they've done roughly one a year since the line started, and we're in for a roller coaster ride. They officially launched with this Hogwarts Icons collection, which featured a giant owl delivering your acceptance letter on a desk. We have a bunch of movie props. We have Harry's wand and glasses, there's some potion bottles, and of course, the golden snitch. On a shelf, I think that this display looks rather excellent, and the owl alone makes the whole thing. Some of you may already know this, but there is a typo in the school motto on the letter. And on a collector's edition that launched a whole new line, that is a pretty crazy miss. This one still sits at a silver given that it's just a prop collection more than a place that you can look into, but that owl is still pretty fantastic though. Next up, we had the Hogwarts Express, and I have to be careful here because there's a lot of split thoughts on this one. The train itself is gorgeous, and the platform with the brick archways is excellent. And I mean, this whole thing looks like it's straight out of a movie poster. The whole thing is meant for display, and it's not going to work with any standard Lego tracks either. And getting into the interior is, from what I understand, it's kind of a project and a half. So with all that, I can see how some people might give this a bronze. And from what I've seen, only about a half the people who actually bought this would recommend it. In my eyes, I mean, I can see this easily being a gold. I do love the design of this thing, but I think that there are enough, let's say, issues with it that I would feel comfortable putting it at a silver. I do think that the design really saves it. Plus, I mean, it's ginormous. This thing is huge. Okay, the collection got pretty awesome with Gringotts Bank, and this is the one right here. The crooked columns and architecture out front totally sell the design, and not to mention that the cart ride winding through the rock down below, it's just amazing stuff. And the dragon is a nice add-on. It's just an awesome set. There are people who call this the best set the theme has ever produced, and after everything that I went through for this video with all the research, I can see that. So the question is this going to be a platinum or a gold? And I keep going back and forth on it. And I suppose it could be a platinum with an asterisk. Because on a set this special, it does have one glaring issue, and it's not a typo, but it's a sticker, well, two stickers that are sort of creating a typo. For some reason, they split up the name of the bank into two separate stickers, and as you can see here, it just looks awkward. That flaw with the sticker is definitely one of those what were they thinking moments, but the rest of the set is still amazing, and I think it's still platinum worthy. Moving to the next one, I was originally torn on the burrow, but it's grown on me over the years, and I've got to say, this is the one with a lot of charm. It's another Harry Potter set with crooked architecture, and it does look pretty good here. I did see that some fans were disappointed with how the rooms felt kind of cramped, and they also thought that the interactive scenes were pretty gimmicky. But I do still think that it's a gold for what it is. Now, it's not the first time that we've had the burrow in Lego form, but I do think that it's the best. This Hogsmeade Village did hit the scene next, and it's got kind of like some holiday charm to it. From the outside, it does look very good. I mean, check out the snow, the roof lines look really good, and the shop fronts look excellent. And from like 10 feet away, it's gonna look outstanding. But when you open the buildings, the insides just aren't quite as nice, unfortunately. I feel like the rooms just aren't up to par and aren't matching the exterior's charm and quality. If they gave the interiors the same vibe as they gave the exteriors, I think that this could be gold. I'm not ranking on price, but just a heads up, this is more expensive than what it should be, but I do think that the exterior is good enough on its own that I can put it in a silver. One of the smaller ones of the bunch, we've got the Sorcerer's Stone set, which does take us all the way back to the first movie. It does have the life-size chessboard and the challenges from the finale stacked into one display. But the more that I've looked into this, I did read that the build is rather simple and some thought it was kind of boring, which is a surprise to me because it does have some mechanisms built in. With that said, I do think that the design is excellent overall given what this is, especially at the size. It is nice to see something a bit smaller in the collector's line, and I'm hovering between a bronze or a silver, but let's put it at a silver for now. Okay, and that does bring us to the newest one, the Ministry of Magic. Now, I did get a chance to build the entire thing, and I'm going to walk you through my thoughts from beginning to end here as quickly as I can. The basement section was off to a decent start, and I did like the portal area, and you do get some interactivity with these falling shelves. I mean, that's all right. Moving up to the middle area, that's where it started to lose me a bit. Now, the interior rooms look fairly good for what they are, but there was a ton of repetitious parts for the exterior that was losing my attention for sure. It started getting pretty monotonous. And I would say that the ground level details are just way too bare and lifeless. And that's the thing, this middle section on the exterior is just missing life. The top section is definitely the star of this entire set. I did enjoy building the street level details. The station was cool, and the telephone booth was actually kind of fun. If you've seen some of my videos, you know that I do have patience for stickers. I don't mind them too much, but this one roughly had about 30. I've got to say though, I was not a fan of the transparent stickers, which this set did have a handful. They pick up fingerprints and smudges on the sticky side very easily and can make the final design look kind of sloppy if you're not careful. One thing that did make me kind of laugh, I mean, they built the whole Ministry of Magic, and the Minister of Magic didn't make it into the box. I mean, I don't know, maybe he was out of the office that day, but he's definitely not here. So this one's gonna end up at a bronze, and that ranking wouldn't change even if it was priced way lower, and yes, it's priced way too high for what it is, but that's for another video. And based on the list that I looked at, here's all of the Harry Potter sets that are officially and unofficially for adults. But anyway, let me know which one of these are your favorites and how you would have ranked them yourself. And as always, thanks for diving deep into the Harry Potter world with me. Until next time, I will catch you in the next one.